Welcome, one and all, to the very first Really Cool People Live. I'm your executive producer, Taylor Likes, and I want to thank you all for coming. Here in person, we have a booming audience. It's 1,000% more than we normally have, which is zero, so thank you all for coming. Let's get started with our host, Jason Leininger.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome to those of you who are in person, and welcome to those of you who are watching online, maybe somewhere, or who will be tuning in. We're glad to have you with us today. Well, want to start off by welcoming the two guests that we have with us tonight. The first is Amy Blakey, and the second is Pastor Jim Mason, and we're glad to have them here with us tonight. Yay! Honored guests. We've been thinking and planning about this for some time. Taylor, especially, our executive producer, has been thinking and planning about it. Been dreaming about this kind of event, so thanks for joining us, whether you're in person or online. Well, the Really Cool People podcast is a production of Schweitzer Church in Springfield, Missouri, and this is a place to hear stories of really cool people. The hope is that as you and I hear stories of folks who are around us each and every day, that we will be inspired, encouraged, and challenged through moments of serendipity. And today, maybe more than serendipity.
Maybe.
I've
it's
heard
likely. Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Could be.
I've heard that there may be a bit of a takeover of the podcast. There are some things that I have not planned, but just little birds have said, be on the watch out for that. So we will be. In a sermon entitled The Weight of Glory, C.S. Lewis said that there are no ordinary people. You and I have never talked to a mere mortal. So it's my joy over the next few moments to introduce you to a couple of people who may seem somewhat ordinary. They love to be self-deprecating, that's for sure. But yet, they're really cool people. Both of them are. And so today we're going to meet Amy Blakey and Jim Mason, two different folks. So it's a little bit of a mix-up from our normal experience on Really Cool People, where we only hear the story of one person. Tonight, it's two people. So we're going to start with Amy's story. And so you want to start off by telling us who you are, introducing yourself to us?
I do. Thank you for having me. My name is Amy Blakey, and I think I might be at the wrong podcast.
What podcast do you think you should be at?
Rule follower. Where's my lane? Sarcasm. Where's that podcast? Because now I'm nervous.
No, you're at the right one.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
It's best to start your story like where you were born or something like that.
Okay, awesome. Well, I was born in Topeka, Kansas, and I was the first of three children. My sister and I are very close in age. We're about 13 months apart, and then my brother is 7 years younger. I lived for about 10 years in Wichita, Kansas, and I grew up just the typical 70s kind of life experience, running in the streets, somebody whistling for me for dinner. Actually enjoyed all those simple pleasures of back then, like phone free and all that good stuff. So we moved here when my father got a job at Associated Grocers. And so my sister and I, mostly when we were growing up, we weren't very close, and that was probably because I stole her clothes, and that made her really mad, and so there was some fighting there. But then when we moved here, we didn't have anybody but ourselves, and so, when you're left with not too many friends and you're the new kid, then you're pretty grateful that you have a sister right there with you. So we became close in high school. Sadly, I still stole her clothes periodically and, caused a stink in that fashion. But I had a fun first job. I worked in a theater. I loved that. Yeah. We ate a lot of popcorn and saw a lot of movies. I was in the drum corps at Kickapoo High School. I could play a drum, but that's pretty funny because I always wanted to play like a guitar or a violin, and I was your typical quitter. So I quit all those, you know.
Oh, and went to the drum?
I went to the drum, yeah, but all you had to do was memorize. So anyway, I had fun times at Kickapoo High School, and then I went to SMSU back in the day, and that's where I was working at J.C. Penney, and I met my soon-to-be husband, now of 39 years. Yeah, he's a lucky guy. And
we know.
yeah, so those were fun years. I worked in a couple of offices, and then when one of the companies shut down, I thought maybe I would like to change careers. So I went back to school and I got my teaching certificate, and I became a business teacher at Ozark High School. I believe some infamous people in our audience are from Ozark High School as well. And so I was there for 19 years, and that was really good for my family that I had that job. I retired from Ozark High School. My last teaching semester was May of 2020. And so I finished out my retirement at their preschool for a couple years, then worked in an accounting office and for a couple years, and ended up here at Schweitzer Church. So I will say that's been quite a joy. Can I tell you my favorite thing about it?
You can, yes,
Okay.
indeed.
I'm asking the questions here. Okay.
Okay, oh no.
Okay.
This is a takeover.
Yeah. Besides the people, I love the laughing. I worked in an engineering firm. They were nice, but they didn't laugh very much. And
They were busy.
and you know what? That's just like the spice of life. You know, we do some goofy stuff around here. Oh, can I show them some of my pictures? Okay, Taylor.
Yes, you can.
Taylor.
So you did bring some pictures along.
I did bring some
Preloaded.
pictures. I don't even remember the order now,
want
so
me to-
just go ahead.
you want
It's
to start in
fine.
order?
It's fine. I haven't remembered half of what I was going to say anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is a picture of my family. I have 2 married daughters, and so the oldest is a teacher in Republic, and the youngest is a hairstylist in Ozark, so I'm super grateful that they all live here. Okay. That is my little sweet pea. She's 4, apple of my eye. She loves to dress up in costumes, even if it's not Halloween, which I super dig. Okay, go ahead. And she likes to do crafts, and she barely gets one craft done before she's on to, Mimi, can we do another craft? Okay, but can we finish this craft? No, we can't. Whatever she wants to do is what we do. Okay.
What's her name?
Her name's Isla.
Isla.
Yeah. And she loves coming to the Orange Room here at Schweitzer, which I love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so go ahead. I have no idea. Oh, yeah, she likes being goofy too, so
That's good.
there you go. Okay.
Do you want the video or should I save it?
No, not yet. Yeah, save that.
I mean, what video?
What video? Yeah, save that. Okay. Oh, so, speaking of having fun with your coworkers, I mean, I think we have fun every single day here at Schweitzer. And this was just a picture of when I was teaching at Ozark High School, and we were dressing up for Halloween as Elf on the Shelf.
like it.
I just thought it was hilarious. I mean, look at those silly little eyes right there. Anyway, they were really good sports, and I had fun doing that. So, all right, I don't know what's next. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, so a couple years ago, I was at a charity event, and a young lady had these super fun little hands.
Tiny hands.
Tiny little hands.
I've
And they
heard about
just
'em.
made me laugh. So now at our office, you can go ahead. they kind of come out every now and then. And we've had lots of fun with them. That was my first Christmas with the little hands. And, okay, go ahead. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know how that got in there.
No, it was.
This-
Is that a tiny
this-
cigarette? Or
This looks like it's in the Schweitzer church office.
Well, I checked the policy manual. And just really, to my knowledge, I couldn't find anything that said that this was not allowed.
it's not.
So, as a matter of fact, I've been hearing the words. What is it? If you got them,
Smoke them.
if you've got them, smoke
If
them.
you got them, smoke them.
So we've had a lot of fun
A lot
with
of
it.
hard work.
It started as hands,
It did.
but then that innocent little office manager you've got there, she got her CDL license, and we approached Pastor Jason and said that if we were going to get our CDL, we had a few demands. And the demands were, do you remember some of them?
Yes, and I've fulfilled one of those demands, which was you wanted really big gulp, big
gulp,
containers
yeah.
for drinks and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wanted that. We wanted cigarette budget.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a secret that they're not supposed to know about or not.
It's a line item. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
then I think we wanted uniforms.
You did want
You
uniforms.
did want uniforms.
I'm forgetting some of the others, but it's written down and we deserve it. So
You're right.
But I haven't got my CDL yet, so only Jennifer can do that. So I just smoke. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Oh, see, everybody wants in on the action.
They do.
don't
Everybody's
they?
funny.
Oh, everybody's a funny man. That's right. Okay, go ahead.
He looks young there.
He does. He does. It was like 2 months ago.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Now, I know you all know these three. I don't know my Stooges very well. I don't, but I saw these three together one day, and I'm like, oh, my gosh. I do not know who is who, but you guys are like the Three Stooges. And so go ahead if you would.
There.
And you guys will have to tell me because I can't remember who's who. Somebody could tell me that.
Yeah.
But they make me laugh every time I see them. And they're just the biggest blessing in my day. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. 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 Who's that?
And I don't know how that got in there. Okay. Yeah.
That's another picture. I think that this does really feel like a takeover of the Really Cool People podcast
Well-
because
We'll get back to you.
Okay.
You asked me to
Thanks.
do
I
my
know.
bio, and I told you I could do it in 60 seconds. So I think I've fulfilled my deal on this, right?
no, but we'll get back to it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fine.
Yeah, I see those.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Amy. I've got a lot of questions for you, so we'll come back around.
Fantastic.
All right, Pastor Jim.
Yeah.
With a candy cigarette in a little hand, would you like to tell us your story,
Yeah, sure.
your biography?
Yeah, and then I think we have a few pictures too, and so I don't usually do anything in a linear fashion, and so we may go in circles here. But I was born in St. Louis in a really fun Catholic neighborhood, and so I'm pseudo-Catholic. We didn't go to church, but my mom was a saint, and we had a lot of icons around the house. My dad was like Archie Bunker, for the reference. Most people probably know about that are over 55. And so, but he was a lot of fun, a great provider. He was my coach, and he was a really good guy in the neighborhood, and we had a lot of fun as a family. I saw my grandparents every weekend. We went across the Mississippi River and the Missouri, across 2 rivers in about a half hour. Saw them every weekend. A lot of fun with our family. We played a lot of games, cards. We played pinochle. Later, we broke out well, I didn't, but they did. The penny jars and all that. Played a lot of poker and all. Yeah, and then the action would really get intense. A lot of bluffing going on. Learned a lot about people, watching the family play cards and other games, and so that was a lot of fun. And then have a sister who's 3 years older, a great lady, lives in St. Louis. We're still close. She shepherded me, or tried most of the time, in the neighborhood. And although she was she thought she was my boss, you know. So there was that when the parents would leave, but we got through that, and appreciate her a lot. Have a lot of friends for life that are still in St. Louis. You've met a few, Jason, that
I have.
visit for worship, and they want to come up on stage, and we don't let them, as you know, for a lot of reasons. But again, St.
They'd
Louis
like to have jobs here. For
yeah, they
a
might
day.
have jobs here. That's
Yeah.
another story, if we have time later. But St. Louis is a big part of my life. I really enjoy going there still. Just a quick story, I always go to the cemeteries because I like to go where my ancestors are buried. And I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I visit them, talk with them, hang out, and I've done a lot of ancestry work. And so knowing my family is really, really important. I also then went to high school. That's where I met Roxanne. Thanks be to God, I think it was a providential moment. We were 15, 16, and followed her here to Missouri State. Had an ROTC scholarship, could have gone anywhere.
It wasn't called that.
It wasn't? Oh, no, it was Southwest Missouri State, but
There
now
you
it's
go.
Missouri State.
Yeah.
Just
Could have gone,
clarifying.
thank you, could have gone anywhere, and followed Roxanne to Missouri State, and my dad knew that it was serious then, and he's like, you know, you can go anywhere, and I'm like, going to Missouri State, where Roxanne is at. And so we graduated at Missouri State, we got married, and then we began an Army career, and we traveled the world, and the Army was really good to me. Paid all my undergrad, grad work, trained me in health administration, field units, so infantry divisions, overseas, Gulf War, all that stuff. Eventually decided to leave the military as a health administrator, came back to Mercy, and when we came here, because I had trained here in Barnes, came back here, and it was really a pivotal moment in my life, because one of the things everybody told me was that, Jim, you're really successful, right? You got everything. You got a beautiful family. You've got, you're making money. If people would say you're nice house, etc. All that, the American dream. And I'll go into this a little bit more later, but felt really empty. And at the same time, we moved into the neighborhood not far from here. Our neighbors recommended us come to Schweitzer. And when I came to Schweitzer, I really began seeking God. I believed Jesus was a very good person. I did not believe Jesus was divine. But I had been seeking God my whole life, even when I was in the military. Got here, and but Roxanne said, well, let's. I wasn't against God. Roxanne said, let's go to Schweitzer. Our friends go there. We came here. I sat right over there in the third or fourth row, and began to believe more and more. And then eventually I had an experience. And my faith went from my head. I always wanted to know God intellectually and studied and all that, knew the doctrines and all that. And then I had an experience right here, right over there, when Jim Bryan was preaching. And I said, God, if you are real, I need you. And I was praying like fervently inside. And I had an experience. I was afraid to tell people about it. I didn't think they believed me. I'm like, how do you explain that? But eventually I did, and started really getting involved here and engaged. And eventually then, Pastor Bob mentored me, if you will. And we go to lunch all the time, talk about stuff, life, faith, all that good stuff. It was fun. And he one day at Panera, I do have a part-time job at Panera. I didn't know if you knew that.
Did you bring your
I have
Panera hat?
I have a couple part-time jobs.
Did you bring your?
This is my favorite one here.
It is.
And yeah, so I'm a
Yeah.
team. I'm a team leader at Panera, right?
Yep.
And I'm a paraprofessional in the schools. And but do you want to?
Well, I was thinking about you had to meet with the higher ups at Panera this week, right?
Yeah, we had an inspection.
Yeah.
Corporate came in from San Diego. It went really well.
And how did the staff at our local Panera, how did they engage you about wearing your team leader hat?
They didn't ask me to wear it.
Okay.
They didn't want me to wear it. But I talked to people. I talked to corporate anyhow.
Okay.
Put in a good word. Tried to dial it back a little bit, and everything went really well. So we're really pleased about that.
Just
And,
a point of clarification. How much does Panera pay you for this job?
a lot of drinks, a lot of food and drinks. Thank you. So we have that. We have that system down. Well, and hats and stuff too. But where was I? So I was here.
You were being mentored. by
Panera.
Pastor
Bob was, yeah. And so one day we were being mentored. I said I thought I had this thing called a call. I'd heard about a call, and I didn't know what that really meant other than I felt like I really, really, really earnestly wanted to seek God. We were at Panera. He slid a piece of paper across the he doesn't remember this, a piece of paper across. We were sitting there, and it was an invitation to go to Asbury Theological Seminary online. And so I did. And so I loved it. And next thing you know, Bob invites me to be on staff. Is Bob here? Oh, good. The pizza's here.
Oh, hey.
Oh, good. All right. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
What is
It's
going
good.
on?
Yeah, I'm going to need a break here in a minute. It's Friday night, right? And so we needed,
It is Friday night.
let me get you a tip. Okay. I usually do carry cash. And so, well, I know you want to talk about that.
You wanna just go there right now with
Well,
the
you
cash?
go there. You tell it.
Okay.
It's your story.
So, well, it's not. I mean, found out early on we were in a worship planning meeting, and
Thank
we
you.
got
We're so
Thank
sorry.
you, yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
again a total takeover.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're in a worship planning meeting, and we go to get up, and I look down on the floor, and there's a $100 bill down there, and I lift it up, and I'm like, where'd this come from? Jim's like, oh, it's probably mine. Probably came out of my pocket. It's part of my stash. I'm like, you carry this around? He's like, all the time. Like, and he pulls a bunch of more money out. And then, there's been 50s that he's left. I mean, stuff. It's just like, if you're hard up for money, just follow Jim.
Yeah, it is
You
blown
will
across
find
the
some.
parking lot. You've seen.
I mean, I
yeah.
tell all the young people who work around here, if you
It's
want a
true.
pay raise, follow Jim.
It's
You will
true.
get one.
That's a true story.
is.
It's just how we do it. So,
It is.
all right. Well, we got some hot pizza here. We'll get back to that. I think the point I was trying to make.
You were called.
I
There
was
was
called.
an invitation.
Yeah,
on
it was
the
an
paper.
invitation, and then
Yeah.
became a pastor. Bob invited me to become on staff after I was helping out in Rogersville too, and so it's been a beautiful trip with God and to this very place. So I think that's where I'm at.
Do you have
Did I
pictures
talk about my
also
other?
that you preloaded with our technical producer,
Uh,
executive producer? Do you have pictures that you?
oh yeah, we have
Yeah.
pictures. Yeah, let's do that.
Do you want to
We-
talk about those?
We have
Yeah.
pictures, but I don't think they're in any kind of order. so-
They're not in any order. They don't really make sense. Well, let's watch them. All right, let's
Okay.
see 'em. Okay, here we go. Oh, I told you I like cemeteries. That's my great-great-great-grandfather, Mason, up in the family cemetery, Alexander Montgomery Mason. If you don't know, for me, I've always sought ancestry because I need to know my roots. Who am I? Where did I come from? It's really been important to me. And I still do that, to include back to Ireland and England. But he came from Virginia, and he's buried over in Illinois, not far from St. Louis. And I visit him pretty frequently when I get up there. So that's my great-grandpa. That is Roxanne, and that was a pilgrimage to the Holy Land in 2012. And that changed my life because I saw the scriptures walking around everyday life. And so that was fantastic. And, there's Jesus. I was going to say something about that trip real quick. We were singing on the bus a lot, like hymns and stuff. as we go, like 30 of us from Schweitzer. And
You sang on the bus?
a lot. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like hymns when you go around, when you travel the Holy Land. That's what people do. And
I went to Israel. We did not sing any hymns on
we
the
did.
bus.
People like Dennis Edwards and all, they were there.
Okay.
And then they hollered out, key change. I had no idea what they were talking about.
I wouldn't-
I mean, there's a key change. I'm like, key change? What are we doing here? And anyhow, I learned a lot. I learned that too in the Holy Land. So, and that's an aqueduct, if you don't know. Okay, so that was fun, 2012.
It's at Caesarea by the sea.
It is, Caesarea. Yeah, right. So, yeah, very cool place in the scriptures. This is along the Sea of Galilee, and so this is Jesus with another pilgrim. And I found that place to be really, it's very near where he preached to everybody in the semicircle. You know, you've been there. I can't think of the name of it. It's like a natural, you know what I'm talking about? Okay, next slide. We'll come back
Yeah,
to
I
that.
don't know.
That's Jesus.
Haven't
Oh,
seen
there
that
is
one.
the Sea of
Yeah.
Galilee. Okay, so that was a lot of fun. You probably see people like that's if you're familiar with Schweitzer, some of the people here. That's Ruth Quigley and Jan Pearson. But anyhow, going across that water and the scriptures to me was amazing. And it did, like a storm came up. I'm like, ugh.
And they just pop up, right?
Yeah, and so, you can imagine Jesus coming out, and yeah, super cool. I recommend everybody go to the Holy Land. Absolutely. Still the Holy Land. Looking across where Jesus would go. Remember when he would say, go across the other side, let's go?
Yeah.
We've done our thing here, let's go over there to where the Greeks were at, the Greek cities. And so when he said, let's go to the other side, for me, was fascinated to see really what he was talking about and the Greek cities and how different they were from where the Hebrew people were at, more in Israel. So,
On the western side.
western side. Thank you.
Yeah.
See if we hit. See if it's,
I think this one's the Holy Land. I think.
that's not the Holy Land. That's our dog, and that's. Well, I know my dog's name.
Oh, I'm
but I
wondering.
was thinking,
Yeah.
we've had boxers, several boxers. We really love them. They're great dogs. But that's Maggie. So we don't have a dog now. We're probably going to get another dog soon. We've been talking about it. Dogs just bring a lot of joy to our lives. We've been traveling, so we haven't. But really loved her. So, okay. Oh. That is at the Mercy Retreat Center in St. Louis. I go on a lot of pilgrimages and retreats, and this place has been sacred to me. 77 acres in St. Louis. Sisters of Mercy they're retired there. The other half, a lot of solitude. You can worship there if you want. You can walk around, but when I go up there, I try to just be quiet. And I do go to a Cardinal game too. I do catch Cardinal games. But when you're there, it's a holy place for me. Love it. Oh, that's the same place. So that's the Wisdom Garden, and again, I would encourage people to go, take time out of your life and go places near and far, and seek God, but also be quiet so you can hear from God, right? And not just petition God. So that's Roxanne again. We love to kayak. We kayak a lot. We've been a little less now because we love to bike too. And so, but this was on the James River, northern part of the James River. We like to get away and do that too, be active. Okay. Oh, that's our picture here. We had that picture. We moved to Springfield, and we had our picture made. That was the pictorial. And so that was probably mid-'90s. And so
That's
I look the
priceless.
same, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
I
You really
do.
do.
Yeah. And so, so that's Roxanne. And the little guy is Jeff, and he's a coach at Glendale now, coaches multiple sports, and teaches at Mark Twain. And that's Clay, the older boy, and he lives in Seattle after living in Santa Monica for about 10 years. And he's a videographer, and he's a freelancer. So it's creative.
How many sports do you help Jeff coach?
A lot. I'm at Glendale all the time. I love it. I mean, when he graduated, and he played in college too, but I was like, what am I going to do? And then he became a coach, so I'm over there all the time, and at least like 3 sports.
Have you gotten kicked out of any games?
Not recently.
While you've been a coach?
But I have.
Not recently.
Yeah, but, well, no, not at Glendale. But, yeah, I did get kicked out once. That's a good story.
Yeah.
You
want to talk about that?
Well, maybe quickly. I felt like I was defending. I was the assistant coach. The kids were little. We were down in Nixa. And the refs, this other team was a much better team, and I felt the refs were not fair. Our head coach was kind to them. And it was kind of like I knew too much about the team we were playing and the refs, and so I said something, and they asked me to leave the gym. And the kids and all the parents were kind of surprised, and I called that my St. Louis neighborhood came out of me. So, yeah, they asked me to leave and not come back. All that day, but I could come back later. So,
okay,
yeah,
that's
Bob
good.
Cassidy loves that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Nice Jim got thrown out of the gym. You know, so yeah, he loves to tell that story. Oh, Jimmy got thrown out. So anyhow, he gets dramatic. Thank you for sharing that. So okay, next one. There we are again. Years ago, we did a lot of. Looks like Jeff's posing a little bit there at the end. But that's a spring. I think that's Allie, right? And we did a lot of kayaking, even as family, right? Okay, next one. Okay, yep, there we are. It looks like Christmas, doesn't it, on the one side?
It does.
It does.
Have you had that mustache the whole time?
I've had that mustache my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like. That's what people tell me. So, yep, and yeah, that's our Christmas outfits. Oh, so there's the whole Roxanne's side of the family. The matriarch is there at the table. She passed away a couple years ago. Changed and impacted my life hugely. Real person of faith. Helped me figure it out. Helped me stay in the game of seeking God. And I sought her counsel a lot. We love the Cardinals, and we love to get together and have a lot of fun. That's on our deck. So.
What's one of the most significant things she shared with you, like in terms of counsel?
I think that I had the illusion that faith is kind of, Spencer would say, up and to the right. And I was finding God through suffering, and I wasn't sure that was how I might find God. And she said, oh, yeah, and it's going to be okay. And so she helped me a lot to love God and love people. And she was a great lady and not an easy life. So, but she's our matriarch. So thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where Roxanne and I were stationed in San Francisco. Big house at San Francisco on the Presidio. We went back there a couple of years ago to go back to places, and I was a general's aide there, which was an interesting job. He lived like next door, and I did everything for him. I learned about servant leadership there. Roxanne did too, for his wife. So, and there we are, wine tasting in California as older people. That was a lot of fun. The guy that was leading the wine tasting was fantastic, Scott. We still talk about him. He knew his wine. He was hospitable. He knew how to relate to people. Very engaging. So. And that's us on the California coast, eating and having a lot of fun together as we like to travel together.
You want to talk about how you traveled differently? Because I've heard a few stories that some people like to plan ahead, and other people like to go with where the wind blows.
You're not a doctor for nothing. He's a smart guy, remembers things. So that trip we went on, that trip with the boys was completely spontaneous. We knew we flew into San Francisco one day, we're in the car. Like 2 weeks later, we left out of Portland. We had no plans. We didn't know where we were staying. We didn't know where we were going. I thought Roxanne's head was going to explode. She's a planner. She seeks clarity. It was a great experience, but it taught me about generational sensibilities, right? They're like, we're going to be fine. We didn't have a hotel. It was like 8 o'clock at night. It was getting dark, and they're like, we're fine. When we get up by Crater Lake, we'll find a place. We did, right? And so it was great. Generations can teach us a lot, so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How many more pictures are there?
We got 2 more.
2 more, okay. That's what I was on. Oh, so I love this, the fruit of the Spirit. I'm a person who likes to have stuff that I can look at, and then I remember it mostly. And then also, but I like to reflect on things I can see. The fruit of the Spirit are so important to me because I feel like John Wesley would say, I don't judge it, but I observe. If I don't see these things in people, and yet they tell me they have faith, I simply wonder. Like if I see a person who's Christian who's really angry all the time, I wonder. But anyhow, these are really important for me. So that's one of my favorite books that I'm rereading. It's about pilgrimage. And so travel, go seek God, be intentional. I'm planning a long trip to Ireland to visit the ancestors. So there
You
you
have
go.
that book, right?
Thanks.
Don't you have the book right there?
Yeah, I do. I've been rereading it. So yeah.
When you read a book,
Yep.
have you ever read a book from the library?
Why do you ask?
Well, yeah. Could you open up the book that you have with you, and could you like show pages of that?
Sure. Like the people or
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of coloring in here and a lot of circling and a lot of stuff in there. And
Writings,
it's
notes.
marked up. Yeah. I'm tactile. I think Jason taught me the word tactile. Maybe I knew it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. And
So-
so I need to touch books. I need to circle them, underline them, like really work with them to really, if you will, understand it. So,
Did you do that with library books also?
you know, I don't think I did, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know. You had to get past the ladies at the front in the library. And yeah, that's another story. Because it was over our public pool, where my friends from there, and we weren't really go to the library for books. We would go into the library for air conditioning, look out windows, see what's in the public pool, and then go. But I should have read more books.
Oh my goodness. What are you gonna do with that pizza?
Well, I feel like you want to eat it.
I don't. I don't want to eat it right
Well, this-
now, but maybe you do.
Well, yeah, maybe I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So I'd like to go back to Amy
yeah.
and do some questioning and quizzing about your life a little bit, because Jim gave us a lot.
A lot. That was a lot.
Circuitous and
What does that mean?
like go around in circles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. But let's go back, Amy, into your story some. So Jim can eat some of the pizza, maybe share with some of the people here in the crowd.
Yeah, I'm
You're
happy
welcome to do that.
I can't remember where our plates and stuff are at. I'm going to take a break.
Okay, you
So
take a
thank-
break.
everything.
Yep. All right. All right, Amy. Are you game to
Yes.
talk about some things?
I'll try.
Okay. So, what'd your mom and dad do?
So my dad worked in the warehouse at Fleming Foods when he was in his younger days, and then by the time we moved here, he worked at Associated Grocers, and he was in a supervisory position until he retired. So I don't really remember what year that was, but he worked there the whole time since we were in Springfield. And my mom was a homemaker, and the only time that I knew of her having a job was when she worked to put her 3 kids through college. So, that was kind of a big deal.
That is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that you like to take your sister's clothes.
Yeah.
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 Was there anything in particular that you like to wear of hers or
Well-
anything in particular that really would cause those moments of strife?
Well, back in the day, we just didn't have a lot of extra. And my mom was really good with a sewing machine, and so she made a lot of our clothes. And I think it was maybe like a smock that had frogs on it. I don't really think it was probably that great, but I think I thought it was. And so when I would come home wearing that, she would just have a fit. Not my mom, my sister.
And who's the oldest?
I am.
You're the oldest.
Yeah, but she likes to play that game with everybody that she meets, like, who do you think is older? So anyway, when you see her, if she asks you that, you need to say that she looks the oldest. But it's me. It's me. It's real deep over here, so I'm digging deep.
No, I appreciate that in
Yeah.
that sense that, you took her clothes, you took initiative like that,
Oh, yeah,
and you ran with it.
yeah.
Is that her shirt you're wearing now?
This is my shirt. I got a little hot. We were going to have a wardrobe change later, but I got a little hot. So I had to, I'm like, well, my husband did say, are you wearing that? I'm like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a big old cat on a cheeseburger in space. And I thought Taylor would really like it. It is extra special. It was a gift. And so it was a church Sunday school class white elephant game. And I was the winner of this. And every time we used to bike a lot, or not a lot, but, fairly often. And every time I wear this, somebody's like yelling back at me how much they love this shirt. So
It's a great shirt.
I'll probably wear it to work now that I've worn it here.
Definitely do that.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
With your candy cigarettes, it will
Okay.
all go together.
It will
and make sense.
And can I ask if we could make it a little warmer in here?
No.
Okay.
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 You said your first job was at the theater.
Uh-huh.
And you got to watch lots of movies.
Yes.
Did you have a favorite that came out of that experience?
I don't remember so many things. I don't remember a whole bunch of things, but every movie that came out, like I was there for, I don't know exactly when the first Star Wars came out, but, something like that, or The Empire Strikes Back, or something like that was going to play for eons. We watched those over and over and over. So, it was just a great perk of the job. I think I made about $2.35 an hour. And the biggest perk of the job was getting to go to the movie for free.
Yeah, that sounds like a good.
It was good for a 16-year-old. I remember one day when I worked there, they were mostly kids my age, but I was in high school, and there were several girls who were in college. And for my high school graduation, they made me kind of mad. They left me there to work, and I don't know where they went. And so I wasn't very happy with them. And they came back, and then they took me outside, and they had put on the marquee, "Congratulations, Amy, Senior, 1981." So that was really special that they did that, for me. So
That's
so
pretty cool.
I got unmad at them.
You were on the big sign.
I was on, yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of my, this is like my first podcast.
Yes.
Maybe my last. But anyway, but that was my first time on the big
On the
sign.
marquee.
Yeah, on the marquee.
We have a sign we can put you on out here.
I always say the wrong stuff, and then I end up in places like this. Oh my gosh. Okay. You've
introduced us to the fact that you like hijinks to a degree. So were there other hijinks that you pulled while you were working at the movie theater or while you were working at JCPenney's? Were there things that stand out to you that, were like games that you played at work?
Oh, well, we were real naughty. I mean, you're not supposed to do maybe some of those things, but we would get out the popcorn and eat it, and then it's really good to put the M&Ms in with it. And so we'd grab a box of M&Ms and slap it on the table and yell spoilage, and then we could eat it. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to do except for maybe TP people. Back in the day, did you guys do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought that was really fun. I was only TP'd one time, though, and I was probably about 19, so it was kind of past the time, I thought. And my dad wanted my sister and I to go clean it up, blah, blah, blah. So we went out and cleaned it up. Wasn't that big of a deal. We didn't have big trees, so joke's on them. Anyway, we found out that it was my 12-year-old brother's little middle school friends who did it. So my sister and I were the ones who cleaned it up, but the teepee wasn't even for me. So we never got caught. I did have some friends come and teepee me when I was about 50, and they were hiding in my neighbor's bushes, and the police caught them. I thought that was hilarious. I didn't know about it till later, but they were teepeeing my house and assured the nice officers that they knew me and I wouldn't mind. So I've only been teepeed twice, and it really, one time wasn't for me.
I think the last time I went teepeeing, I did get stopped by the police officers.
You did?
I did. And
Michigan?
yeah, in Michigan. But then they found out that my dad was the name on the bottom of their check. And so they...
That's true. County commissioner
The county treasurer. So they just said, we'll stay off the roads. Park off the roads. This busy road. It was an interesting time. But
Good times.
yes, indeed. Pastor Jim shared some about his faith journey. I wonder if you could share a little bit about your faith journey.
Sure. So I've always been in church. We always attended church. I went to, camps and Bible school and all those things. My grandparents went to church. My mother's mother always took us to church whenever we'd go see her. We lived in Wichita, and they all lived in Topeka, so we didn't see them weekly, but we saw them several times a year. And so I had always been in church, but it really wasn't until our oldest daughter was about 2, and I just told my husband, I said, I just feel like we either got to get in or get out. And what I meant by that is that for my child, who I wanted in church, we either needed to engage where we were, or we needed to find a place where we would. And so at that point, I just started participating more in my church. I, helped with the youth program over across the way, and became an elder. And we loved our Sunday school classes. The children grew up there. My children, that's where I met Sheila. And so Sheila was the choir director. And oh my gosh, she's so good with kids. She's good with everybody.
She is.
A little plug for her. I mean, if you're 2 or 102.
She just goes by one name.
What is it?
Sheila.
Sheila.
And that's all you need. Sheila.
Well,
Around town.
Sheila. I know she's loved by everybody of every age, but the fact that she had such a heart, and I do believe Mr. Pippin was back there just a minute ago.
yeah.
I'm not sure. Are they both back there?
Oh, yeah.
Hey. Anyway, the way she loved on those kids, and I know she's got great stories. I hope she's going to sit up here sometime. But, my kids had such a good experience with her. They did choir during their middle school and high school years. So that was always like a special place in my heart for Sheila. But anyway, there was nothing unique really about my story. It's just that I felt like I was being pulled to be more engaged, and I feel like my journey, though, has really just kind of ramped up in the past several years. Like I feel like I know that God has always been with me, especially, if there's a health crisis usually it's been through suffering, but I've always known His presence was with me. And so, but now I feel like I'm trying to make sure that, that I'm being more of a disciple of Jesus. And I really enjoyed participating in practicing the way. Mm-hmm. I have a long way to go still, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the journey, and I know it's only going to get better and closer from here.
So Jim got to raise 2 boys, and you got to raise 2 daughters.
Yeah.
What were some of the lessons you took out of the act of raising daughters?
Oh, goodness. Well, hindsight's 20/20. And I had such an easy go of it. My kids were just really easy to raise, and they were little rule followers like me and their dad, so they were just easy. But as far as a parent goes, looking back on it, there are times when I wish that I was able to maybe be more of a champion for them, as far as I know one of them was being bullied at one point in high school, and it's like I just didn't know what to do with it, and so that's a big regret for me. They've both turned out to be wonderful human beings, with or without my help, but I know you didn't really ask me for regrets, but that would be one of them, that I didn't really hop in there and help that child at that time. That's a bad thing to look back on, I guess. Hard.
Challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then something to unpack even into the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm doing that because I feel like for so long, I've been a recovering people pleaser. And so, it's like I'm so used to making sure that I say the right thing that you want to hear that maybe I've lost my own opinions along the way. So as I'm doing this journey with Jesus, I'm kind of having to really look at myself and, kind of figure some things out. So it's making me take kind of a real truthful, honest look at myself and kind of figure out some boundaries and things like that.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a great place to be.
Yeah, really insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. What do you think about, or what do you, looking into the future, do you have 2 or 3 things that you really want to do in the next, say, decade of your life?
Well, if I can get my favorite man in the world mobile, and a lot of you know that he's struggled with some back issues recently, so we're working on that. We just want to be more active again. We want to be able to do the bike riding, or we like to camp. So we had hoped maybe in our early retirement years we would travel the United States and do the national park thing. And I haven't been to a whole lot of places in the United States, so I have so many things I want to see. So we really want to do that. I want him to have his life back for golfing and, just doing whatever it is we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely look forward to travel. I would love to go to the Holy Land.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. So we're getting ready to celebrate 40 years of marriage next year, and so we've got plans to go see our niece, whose husband is in the Marines, and they are based in Hawaii. And so I've never been, so what a great 40th anniversary trip.
That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When the
that's
girl
good.
has a honeymoon to Eureka Springs, maybe Harrison, Arkansas, I don't remember, the girls earned a trip to Hawaii.
There you go.
Yeah, I've earned it.
You've earned
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Roxanne and I went there 40 years ago.
To Hawaii or Eureka Springs?
Well, both, but Hawaii as a belated honeymoon, and we caught a hop in the military, and we were on a C-5, which is like the biggest plane in the world, and it was so cold we put our feet up on the seats, but it cost us $10. But you you will love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you'll love Hawaii.
It'll be fun because my sister and brother-in-law will go with us, so it'll be fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then one final thing, and then we'll flip over and I'll ask Jim a couple of questions too. Unless you want to.
This pizza's
Did you
good.
want to go through a wardrobe change too?
No, not
Okay,
now.
all right.
Not this
Okay.
shirt is good enough.
Okay, that's great.
Jim, were you going to do a wardrobe change?
I don't know that I'll do a wardrobe change, but I might share a little something that I brought along at the right time. But
Okay.
I don't know that this is the right
Okay.
time. Yeah.
One
But
final,
it's kind of, I think it's kind of interesting.
one final question for
Yeah.
Amy, because we have, you talked about your profession as being a teacher for a while. So I just wondered if there was anything from your teaching career that stands out as like as a big memorable moment or something that made an impression upon you, whether you were a part of it or you were a recipient of it.
I think I want to tell you an awesome and then a learning thing.
Okay.
So, I wanted to make the kids' day start out fun. And so, I don't know how many of you remember, but back in the day on 105.9 Woody P. Snow, you remember that?
With Janet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would play Good Morning, Good Morning. So I found an old video of that. I used to sing that to my kids in the morning to wake them up. And of course, I'm not a singer. And so
What
I
key
know
was
they,
that in?
Huh?
Yeah.
What key was it in?
It was all the keys.
Okay.
It was,
H.
yeah, it was in all the keys. And so the kids, my children, didn't especially love me singing that to them in the mornings, but I did it anyway. But then I decided I was going to do it as a school teacher. I worked in offices probably 14 years before I started teaching, so I was a late comer to the teaching profession, relatively speaking. Anyway, so I found the video and I would play it for them. And so, like this rooster crows, and then it starts singing, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's time to rise and shine. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're feeling fine. It's just a great little song. Anyway, I played it every day for the first block class. And they either loved it or hated it.
But they were going
And
to hear
some of them, they were going to hear it.
Yeah.
But some of them, I just feel like pretended to hate it, but kind of loved it. Because later I had this lovely girl, an exchange student from Mallorca, Spain, and she was just the sweetest, smartest young lady. And after she left, she sent me a letter, and it said how that used to just make her day. And I'm like, yes! I enjoyed it, but I was so glad she enjoyed it. And she was far from home. So anyway, it was little things like that. I met so many great kids. Even now that I've been out of it for 4 years, I will still see them at a restaurant or, at a store. And it's just great when you get to say, "Oh, I remember you." So that was really great. But my teaching, my learning thing, because I really do like to learn. I do like to reflect. I can't remember it, but I like to reflect, and then I like to forget it, evidently. But
I bet you were a great teacher, though.
Thanks. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you were.
I don't know. But anyway, when I got done, I think what I realized is I wish somebody would have told me when I started, don't take their failures or disinterest personally. Because I took it so personally that, little Mark didn't want to learn or, wouldn't do what he was asked to do. And I took that as a personal failure. And it's like, once that was over with, I was like, you know what? That didn't have anything to do with me. And so that was I wish I would have known it ahead of time so I didn't carry it with me so long. But you just want every kid to do well. And that's just not everybody. So people pleaser took it hard.
Yeah. but well intended. I mean, you really wanted the best for your students.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but that's what I think I would tell a new teacher too is, because they give and they give and they give,
Oh, yeah.
is, you know what? Don't take it too personally. It's probably not about you. You know?
And the art of classroom management, like when I'm still involved in the schools, is just like amazing. When you see that happen, it's like, it's magic. I don't have it, but
Do you have tricks for classroom management?
no, I don't. I
Do
don't.
you
That's why I
smoke
was
when you're there?
not often.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
good
gonna need a
idea.
break, but
Probably
yeah,
shouldn't.
no. I usually do PE, and it's every 40 minutes you get new kids, so I just have to outlast them, like 40 minutes, and give me another batch. So, yeah. So.
Amy, thanks. I'm
Thank you.
gonna go to Jim now. He's had his pizza.
It's
He
really
shared
good. It's like
pizza.
really
That's
good.
great.
So if you want some pizza,
Okay,
you
that's
can
great. Thank
jump,
you.
It's
jump in.
fantastic.
I'm just going to relax.
It has
Okay.
like garlic or something on it. I don't know.
I don't know.
Was yours
but
good,
We'll find
Taylor?
out.
It's great.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
good.
You got a whole nother one there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited.
So there's, Jim, a couple questions I want to ask you about because you can probably talk about this for a little bit. Your relationship with your dad, special
Yeah.
relationship, significant relationship in your life.
Yeah.
And I was there when you got to do your dad's funeral, lead your dad's
did
celebration
do
of
that.
life, which was unforgettable.
It was in the nursing home he was in, right? So
Yeah,
we
it
did
was.
it there with the color guard. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. It was
All the employees and
employees, your friends,
Friends.
people who remembered
Yeah.
your dad,
neighbors.
neighbors,
Yeah.
and Bob and I.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The peanut gallery over there. Yeah.
Well,
Well, kind of.
there was a special text you wanted to share about your dad. But so there's a funny story that goes along with that.
Yeah,
little bit
it
of
was funny.
You want to tell the funny story?
Well, you might tell it too. But anyhow,
No, you should tell it.
Yeah, I should probably tell it. So we're doing my dad's celebration of life, and everybody's there, and we're sad. We'll miss him, but he was a colorful character. People loved him at the nursing home. All of my friends took care of him and when I left town. The guys, he played cards with them, all that. So they were all there. And as I was getting ready to read the scripture, that day I began to think about a different scripture came into my head. And so I was pivoting from something more like a psalm, but then the prodigal son came into my head, which was my dad. He was mad at God for decades. He left. He went to World War II. In his home, there was domestic violence. He was the oldest of 6 kids. He started working when he was 11. His mom was a saint. As a kid, he's trying to navigate all that, right? Goes off to World War II. A lot of bad things happen. How does a good God let all this happen, right? He's mad at God for decades. Great guy, though. Great provider. He came to faith before he died, and part of that nursing home. That's an amazing story. And he was on his way, as we would talk about Jesus. But I had this idea, I think it's the Holy Spirit. It's like prodigal son, right? And I kind of know that story, but yeah. And so I decided that's what I'm going to read. And if you know me, I'm not. I mean, I know the Bible, but I can get mixed up. And so I start looking. So I'm standing up there, and you all probably know where that's at. I mean, you kind of know the Old Testament's in the front, Psalms are kind of in the middle, stuff like that. And so the New Testament's usually in the back.
In the back.
And so that's what I was going for. And but for some reason, I was like in the Old Testament for a little while, and then I was in the middle, right? And
You were.
And I could feel. I couldn't find it. It didn't feel long for me. I mean, I was still okay. We're gonna get there. But I could feel the crowd getting a little like, is he gonna find it?
30 seconds. 45 seconds.
And then I knew Bob and Jason were there, and I could just feel them. And at a certain point, Bob hollers out, Luke 15. Everybody starts laughing. I'm like, that's it. That's the one we want. And it was great, I thought. And the story was so my dad. But, yeah, I think I made your day and Bob's, because he still loves that story. Like, where's it at? And it could be anywhere, but it's usually in the same place in the New Testament.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But unpack a little bit more your relationship with your dad. And
Yeah.
the significance of that, because
Yeah.
you then said he gave you a really big gift in life.
Yeah. Tell me a little more as you.
Well, I mean, you
Yeah.
about you
me
mentioned
give-
that he grew up in a house with
Oh, yeah,
domestic
yeah.
abuse, but then
Yeah, I preached about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he broke the chain.
yeah,
Yeah, so we had like many, we were, I loved my childhood, my neighborhood, my parents, my family, but we were dysfunctional. Hello, right? And we had issues with alcohol and domestic violence in my family systems. I know that now. And so my dad suffered that in his home growing up, and he broke the chain. He never touched us. He went through some tough stuff, and he made sure nobody harmed us, and he didn't harm us. I mean, he was all in. I mean, he was Archie Bunker, right? He towed the line. He had opinions. He loved us, but he intentionally broke the chain of domestic violence, and I thank God for that. When I read the scriptures of how it's passed on from generation to generation, I think my mom, the saint she was, helped him. Other people as he did that, because he had a temper. It usually took a little while to get there, but when he got there, because he was intense, he had clarity. He had clarity, the gift of clarity, right? And he was usually right, but right doesn't get you everywhere, right? And but yeah, I thank God. It was a big deal in our family that he broke the chain of evil domestic violence. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Big deal.
And then another part of your life that you touched on when you were talking about your time in the military.
Yeah.
I know the military has really shaped you and formed you and
Yeah.
given you lots of different experiences. But are there a couple key critical experiences along the way that have really stayed with you, that you carry deep down, that you might want to share with us?
Yeah, I think about it. I've been in contact with a buddy. We were in the infantry division together right out of officer training. And it was an intense place. Army Rangers all around us, all that. We're medics, so we're officers, but we're medical battalions. And so we're supporting a lot of really intense stuff, training. We hadn't gone to war yet, but we were training very intensely, a lot. Like, and for example, the guy, Kent Thomas, who was here at Schweitzer, he was an armor officer there when I was there. And I quickly realized, you have theory and then you have reality. And leaders matter. And leaders create culture. And we were talking about our Bravo company commander, we would follow him anywhere. And he was a good guy. He was fun. He was a servant leader. He could do everything that he would ask us to do and more. He ate last. He checked on us. And he was very clear about our mission first. That's our ethos. Common good mission, selfishness, all that stuff goes away. Forget it, gone. We get our mission get together. And so we were talking about Brian Smith. And so we have these people in our minds, the military. And then, the military, I really appreciated. I saw where the best advanced and merit mattered. In other words, at the 10-year mark, you can still be a good officer, but if you don't make field grade, they ask you to move on and become a civilian and do well. I mean, you've got a lot of experience, but it was healthy competition. But we knew we always had each other's backs, but we knew we had to be excellent because we're taking care of the nation's kids, right? Mm-hmm. 18 to 22-year-olds all around us. Mom and dad are hoping and praying and expecting us to take care of the people, right? And so we're shepherds, and it's an amazing experience, and that camaraderie, it's hard to find. I had it in sports, had it in the military. I do have it in the church, with collegiality and comrades, if you will. But for me, it was it's transformational. But the leaders matter, and that in everything.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then one final question, then we'll come back and we'll do a round of something a little different. I wonder if you have a most memorable pastoral moment. Because you've been, you're in the military, and then you were in healthcare, and then you've been a pastor for some time.
Yeah, I don't know. One in particular. Well, I don't know. It just came into my head, so I'll share it. So when it was part of my call, so when I was working in Mercy, I knew that God was working in me, and so I've got a fairly responsible job there and stuff, but I have autonomy in my work. I don't necessarily have to be anywhere at one time, but I'm responsible for a lot of stuff. So every day I'd go to the chapel on the 6th floor, and the art and the place. If you haven't been to the chapel at Mercy on the 6th floor, it's beautiful. It's a sacred place. Mm-hmm. And I sat in that place and I prayed like every day about God, what are we doing? And would look at the art. Art matters, I think. Creativity matters. And on my way to becoming a pastor here, I spent so much time being formed in that space. And at the same time, we're taking care of patients. I'm working with chaplains. I'm seeing I'm navigating this sense of watching chaplaincy work. And then I took the chaplain's course so I could become better at all that. I actually remember thinking through empathy, I felt the gift of visible darkness. I felt like I could walk in the hall and tell people who were hurting but hadn't expressed it, and that something was weighing on them, and so would talk to them, employees and other people, and I became comfortable with it. But I feel like that space and time was really helpful. The sisters, we prayed in meetings, and it was all on a providential, heading to what I would do here for years, right? Mm-hmm. At least a decade. I've done a lot of things here, other than preach well, but in short. But we all know that. But I mean, everything else could have done, but that really shaped me as a shepherd of a congregation and a people. And there've been so many awesome moments doing that. So.
Yeah. Well, you've left a mark on lots of other people, and because of your journey. You have a couple different things that you mentioned, or you haven't mentioned, but you just referred to it. Ways in which you've blessed people with humor. You mentioned about preaching, and so we have something here via video that may fit in with your preaching.
Okay.
This was, you want to explain this to us?
Yeah, typically when I would be preaching, Bob Cassidy would give me a signal like this, which meant wrap it up. I mean, he's sitting right there where Bob Lund is, and I can see him, right? I mean, and he does it more than once. It's like, and it means wrap it up, right? So I got to wrap this thing up. If that didn't work, then the plane would come in behind me, and I'd hear people laughing.
Yeah.
And I was done.
Yep.
And so the plane landed. It's like we landed the plane, and we're done here.
Yep.
And so I didn't really mind, but yeah, we had some fun here, I think. Do you like that?
I don't know that we ever played this on a Sunday morning.
It gets played when you
Well, I've been known
second season.
Yeah.
I've been known to embellish stories.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with embellishing a story, right? It's still true in many ways. So.
And then there's one other thing I want to ask you about in terms of like your present work here at Schweitzer. You brought this into the office recently, a parking violation. So you want to explain your parking issues?
Yeah. So, yeah, me and parking. I feel like if it's a fairly open parking lot, those lines are suggestions. I mean, if everybody's there, then you have to go between them. And over by Panera, there's a lot of space. I mean, really? And so, you just wing it in there. And so one day, I have this on my car, just about a week ago, right? Yeah.
I think so. And then you brought it to me as if I had created it.
Yeah, I told him he has funny staff around here, funny people who are giving me tickets. But it's pretty authentic. It made me wonder for a while. I realized I walked over to Panera, thought I had gotten a real ticket. You just need to look at it. And then I realized they had my weight wrong on my license. I'm like, that's and they asked hair color. It said none,
There's an,
and so I knew then. Yeah,
there's an
there it is.
example of his parking.
So,
jobs.
but I was thinking Roxanne's, because I've had a few tickets, but there it is. Is there?
That's
What is that?
hilarious.
Is that close? Or is it
Not even.
not even?
Not even close.
Okay.
Hey, Taylor, since he thinks that is good parking, could you roll my footage, please?
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
there's
it's
no-
appropriate.
There's nobody around there, is
I
there?
got one for
That's good. I like that. Do
There
that
you go.
again.
There
Let
you
me
go.
see that
You're
again.
welcome.
Okay. Yeah. That was good. Well played. I heard a voice like laughing from somewhere. Okay. That was good. Well played.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, let's pivot and do a round of short answers. And this can be, you can pick your favorite or worst if I throw a category out, okay? So like one category might be food, your favorite or worst. You have an idea? Just,
Yeah. Well, pizza.
Oh,
Pizza.
he wanted us to speak.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you go.
Ice cream.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay. Sport.
I'll come back to that. Little Debbie's, but
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love Little Debbie's. Okay.
we go ahead. What
Okay.
sport?
Favorite or worst sport?
Football for me. But
What favorite? That's favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Forgot about that. Worst?
I don't watch too much, but I do like watching the Chiefs, so we'll say football.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Favorite or worst scripture verse or passage? I mean, sometimes the Bible just can grate you, so it can be a worst too.
Yeah, that can be. It can really.
Yeah,
start-
like when it tells me to watch my mouth,
Yeah.
then it's
It-
like, oh,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
I can't remember where that's at. It's in Proverbs, I think.
it's is that in the front? Or
Yeah.
It is.
What was the question again?
I don't
Favorite
know.
or worst scripture verse or passage?
Oh, yeah. For me, it would be Romans 5:3. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character. Character, hope. A hope that does not disappoint because Christ pours his love into you. And I memorized that. It jumped off the page. Again, part of my journey. I'm like, oh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I could tell you, but I have to get my phone out.
Okay. Well,
You can move on if you
okay,
want.
we'll come back.
Okay.
Favorite or worst vacation spot?
We really like to go to Destin, Florida, and they've got a beautiful state park there, so we typically camp. So I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have so many. Probably worst. I have trouble going to theme parks. I try to enjoy that, but I just can't
Like Six Flags?
so much going on and wow. So anyhow, I try to enjoy that, but because the families like to go there, but that's hard for me. But
Favorite or worst date? I mean, it's been a while since you've been on dates. But, well, maybe.
like my life.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of my proms wasn't great, so I'll just say it was a prom
It was a
date.
prom.
Yeah,
Oh.
it went great.
Oh,
You go.
yeah. I mean, I started dating Roxanne when I was, just a kid. She was 15, I guess. So it's hard to remember. So I better say Roxanne, but I don't remember the question.
Yeah.
Your favorite or worst shopping experience?
I haven't done it in a while, but and again, I sound like a curmudgeon, which I am officially at Panera. But I was over there earlier, and people are talking about going to Black Friday, which is coming up
Yeah.
next Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing for me to do because people are kind of frenzied and all that, and I just So that's a bad shopping experience for me. I like to go to Costco on Monday night or Monday afternoon. Nobody there.
Oh, so you go when nobody's there?
Yeah, I go when nobody's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like to shop, and I used to love Black Friday, but nah. Amazon's just too convenient.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. Favorite or worst way to travel?
I don't know. All the delays in an airport just kill me. You know what I mean? Or getting bumped from a flight or.
I tell you, I love
I
the
don't
delays
know.
to watch people. I love to watch people in airports, so I don't really mind the delays. But as I've gotten older, I'm thinking flying way, like everything could go wrong. Like, you know, I'm thinking about the flaps and I'm looking out. And I used to fly and not think about any of that. And I don't know if it's just getting older. So I don't like getting there because I'm thinking, how does this thing do this? You know, it should not be able to bullet through the air at 600 miles an hour. I mean, that shouldn't happen. Am I overthinking it?
Maybe. I don't
Okay.
I think you're overthinking it.
Okay. So I don't really like to fly anymore, but I love going there. I like driving. So.
Favorite or worst weather day? Like, what's the weather? It's your favorite or worst kind of experience?
What's that one movie say where it's the perfect day, all you need is a light sweater? I think it's like April 25th or something. All you need is a
That
light
is a day.
jacket.
Taylor, do you know that movie?
I do, but I can't remember what day it is.
Oh, really?
All you,
You know that
somebody
movie?
knows that.
What's that movie? Anybody know?
Yes.
What was it?
Thank you, Miss Congeniality.
April
Oh, wow.
25th. I had to look it
Huh?
up.
April 25th?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not too hot, not too
I
cold.
love
All you
fall.
need
I
is a light
love
jacket.
when it cools down.
Is that Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any day that the sun's out, it's a good day for me. I love the sun.
Do you have a favorite phrase? One that you repeat or one that you picked up?
I've got several.
You know which one has good phrases for me that I now can't remember any is Christmas Vacation. It's like how many lines came out of that movie? Some of them great. Some of them you can't say on a podcast. Yeah, I can't think of one of them.
Well, one that I know I say, and actually I've had, it's been a little while, but it was actually here. One of our colleagues in the past, Mark McNelly, and Mark and I were pretty close, and I had the privilege of, what would I say, trying to supervise him? Or
Maybe
anyhow.
iron sharpening iron?
Yeah, that was it. And he always said, once I would say, here's the deal. Like, okay, so I know I say, like, here's the deal, and then we're done.
Yeah.
You know, when I say that, that's kind of like, okay, conversation's about to end, and we're moving on. And I know I have others, but I can't think of them right now. Because Roxanne calls me Captain Repeat. So I know I have a lot of them. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think one time you came into my office and we had a conversation, and when you left, I said, "Good talk." And he loved that so much that he says it every time we have a
That's
conversation.
true. I do say it
Ever
every
since
time.
then. That was
Yeah.
4
Good
years
talk.
ago.
Good talk.
Good
Yeah.
talk.
Thank you. That's true.
And then, do you have a favorite person to impersonate? Or somebody that you like to mimic from time to time?
Sheila.
That's funny.
I'm not telling you where that came from.
Yeah. Favorite person to mimic. Yeah, I mean, I know I do. I just can't think of that either.
Sorry, the correct answer was Jesus.
There you go. Thank you, Taylor.
Good job, Taylor.
Yeah,
There you
those,
go.
Those kind of get, they kind of go past me.
Great.
Thank
Well, thanks. Thanks for playing along
Yeah.
with that. And thanks for everything else that you shared tonight and all the craziness, hokiness, and other things like that. That's fantastic. Appreciate it a lot. And the pizza, too, Pastor Jim.
It's really good.
There is a final question that I like to ask all of the folks who come on the podcast, and that is, do you have a final word of wisdom or advice that you've been, it's been stirring up in you that you'd like to share with those who are tuning in, listening to this?
I think you should go first. Sorry, you're eating.
I have a lot of pizza in my mouth.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think for me, I just keep going back to laughter. That it just, in good times and bad, there's still something to laugh about. So when I can find joy in doing that, I want to do it. If my life is missing some of that, well, I need to go do something else.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah.
I would say it's been on my mind lately, and it sounds pretty simple. I like it when Spencer says, I'm going to point out the obvious to you. 90% of my job is you already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. But I find that, simply keeping the faith and leaning into God, because we have choices to turn away or to lean in, and just I find myself, I've told a few people this recently, so it is a favorite saying. I'm not sure where I got it, and keep paddling, right? Just kind of hang in there and trust, right, in God's grace, and in ways that we can't see, but God is moving. So,
yeah. All right, thank you. Well, a big thank you to both Amy and to Jim tonight for sharing
thank
your
you.
story.
I do have a question for you.
You do, okay.
So who does a podcast on a Friday night at 7? Now, you're a doctor. Oh, sorry. Hit that again. So, like Mizzou's playing right now, K-State, all kinds of stuff, but it's Friday night at 7. Just, you got anything for us?
It's football season.
Oh, so you're trying to stay away from Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
because there's big games tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So I was just wondering.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming out Friday night at 7 when there's basketball games on.
Roxanne didn't make it.
I know, I see. Well, thank you so much. Thanks to both of you. And also, a big thanks to all those who tuned in or will listen to this podcast down the road. Thanks for joining us. And it is our hope that as you listened, that you were inspired, encouraged, or challenged, and that, as always, you begin to behold the really cool people that are around you. Because each and every day we run into really cool people. We just have to take the time to listen, hear their stories, and see what's beneath the veneer that we see right up front. Also, a big thank you to Darren Swait and Jackson Burleson tonight for serving on our AV team. And they were the ones who helped put this out on the interweb and in other places. Thanks also to Taylor Likes, who is our executive producer and editor. The Really Cool People podcast is produced by Schweitzer Church, Springfield, Missouri, and I'm your host, Jason Leininger. You can help us out by liking, reviewing, and sharing this podcast. And until next time, stay cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks to you guys for joining us.
Yeah. We have more pizza, too. So.
And Jim has a whole nother pizza.
Whole nother pizza. I knew. I was like, I'm going big today.
All right.
I'm like, ordering 2. Roxanne's like, what? Going 2.